Are you the person who loves harmony and hates conflict? Who wants everybody to like you and be on good terms with you? And who hates to stir things up and gets into any conflict and rather stay put back and not stand out in a crowd? A person who maybe ends up doing things for others you never wanted to do and feels like you're just some shadow going and adjusting to everybody around, but you don't really even know who you are anymore. If you said yes to these questions, then you probably have a problem with people pleasing, and this video is right for you. People-pleasing is a very common problem, probably for most of us, or if not for all of us, but especially for people who are very high in the trait of agreeableness. Agreeableness is one of the big 5 traits of personality model, and it basically means that if you are high in that you value a lot harmony, consonant with other people, love, kindness, empathy, and rather maybe compromise or even trading of your needs in favor of other person's needs. And you don't like asserting yourself too much in front of other people, or pushing your own needs or opinions, or standing out in the crowd and confronting other people. As everything and every other trait, there are positives and negatives to each of the traits. So the trait itself is, we could say, neutral, and it's good in some areas and might be not good in other. But a people-pleasing is something when this is overgrown and you don't use this trait in the right situations when it's necessary, but actually this trait is overruling you and making you a slave of other people, slave of their opinions, slave of their needs, slave of the group settings, and you may lose yourself very easily. So in this video we are going to talk about a bit what it is, why it's not good when it might be good, and what are the reasons of how people get into this people-pleasing mode. And we will talk more about the ways how to get out of this, or how to help yourself be more balanced in way of agreeableness, but not becoming a people-pleaser. One of my favorite quotes to this topic is in the book of Corinthians, where it's written, you were bought for a high price, don't become a slave of men. And this is important, especially if you are a faith person, a believer, because as a believer you are taught always to be like the humble one, good one. You value sacrifice, compromise, maybe being tolerant, being kind to other people, and even showing your second cheek. But this is just the half of the coin, even what Bible teaches us, and there is a second half, and that's the one that you should never be a pleaser of men or a slave of men, but rather just a pleaser of God. And why? Well, we can see it in many cases in Jesus' own life that he stood his ground. He confronted evil. He confronted people who were hypocrite. He was steering sometimes conflict by disrupting some social rules that were discriminatory to weak people, to poor people, to the sick people. So he was showing compassion, to show love. Often he had to stir up the waters and create controversy. So this is about the wisdom we need to find when to sacrifice for others, maybe when to put other person's needs first and show love this way, and on the other hand, when to stand our own ground, to keep our boundaries and to assert the right thing to do, the truth, the righteousness, and even showing compassion and maybe confronting some social norms. So let's look at this agreeableness, or let's look at this extreme agreeableness in form of people-pleasing. The positive side of agreeableness, of course, it's, for instance, very simple example. A mother is tuning to her baby. She is totally trying to please the baby. And that's very good and very right, because the baby totally needs it. The baby is absolutely helpless without her, and the only thing the baby can do is to cry. And so mother has to be very, very attuned, very sensitive to the needs, and she is putting her needs away. She is setting them on a second track, and she's doing everything to please the baby because the baby needs it to receive love at the moment. But of course, this setting cannot be like this forever. And as the baby grows, mother has to also start to discern when the baby is only testing the boundaries, when the child is starting to manipulate. And she needs to also set boundaries, which means sometimes being strict and sometimes being firm and sometimes be coming into the conflict with the own child. So this is also a process, but obviously this is the reason why women tend to have higher trait of the agreeableness, and so therefore often even become higher people pleasers than men, although it's just some statistical difference, but men definitely have the problem with this trait too. There can be other good scenarios when it's good to try to please a person, in the sense that I decide to please them because I want them to show them love. I want to fulfill their need, for instance, in a relationship, and I want to show that I'm able to compromise, or sometimes I set aside my own need or my own desire and try to show love to another person. And that's fine if that's deliberate, if that's a conscious decision that I'm doing it for a good reason, for a good motivation, that's fine. But if this becomes my autopilot, if this becomes my constant setup, and I cannot do any other thing than that, and if I become a slave of this feature, I'm losing myself, and I'm losing ability to stand against evil, or stand for my own needs, and I'm starting to disappear in front of others, then there is a time for a change. So let's look at the other side. If you try to please everybody and not get into any confrontation or argument or standing your own ground or just the potential rejection of other people, you may do several of these things. The bad result can be, first of all, you can be encouraging their evil intentions, because some people do have bad intentions. They want to abuse you, and you can be just enabling and encouraging them to do so because you're not setting any boundaries to them. You can also be enabling just a selfish character, because some people are more or less selfish, and we have our tendencies, and sometimes we just need to face the boundaries of other people. You can set the boundaries even kindly, but you need to set them, and even that is often a problem for a lot of people. Also, you may keep the people in their ignorance if you are never confronting them, for instance, with something that might be dangerous for them. And you're not saying that. You don't want to disagree. You don't want to share your opinion because they might be angry at you that you disagree with them. And so you just keep them in their ignorance. And you think, oh, I'm such a tolerant person. I don't want to stir it up. But you may be actually the reason that you keep them in their harmful ways. And they deserve to at least have some light put in the situation. Who knows, maybe it's going to save their life sometime. It doesn't mean you have to push people. It doesn't mean you manipulate people. It just means you are able to show your point of view, your side, your knowledge of the truth to them, and let them decide what they want to do with that. Then you may also harm yourself, of course. If you are extreme people pleaser, you never do what you want to do. You never watch a film what you want to watch with your friends. You never do the activities you want to do. You never go to the places. You don't even develop your own talents, your own purpose, your own calling that God gave you. You don't even know what it is because you don't put effort into finding, because your whole energy is spent on pleasing everybody else and serving everybody else's vision. And that's also not what God wants from you, because we need to serve each other, but we also need to respect the design and the calling that He's put into us. So it's not a holy thing to think that I'm going to just disappear completely and I'm just going to do whatever other people want me to do, because that's also not what is God's plan for your life. He has specific design for you, how you should serve other people, and you should not be a slave of everybody's opinion on how you should do that. And then the last negative thing is that, as I already mentioned, you can totally lose your identity in this process. And you may feel like, I don't even know who I am. I don't even know what I like. I don't even know why I am here. I don't know who I am. And this question can make you scared. And God knows who you are. He loves you, and He wants you to know who you are and your own flavor that you bring to this world. And it's a pity if you don't find it out. It's really a pity, because you can serve much better if you know your flavor, if you know your gifting. So I want to encourage you to get on this journey of finding out who you are and getting rid of all these motivations that hold you in people-pleasing mode. And now I would like to uncover maybe several of the people-pleasing motivations that I found in my practice working with people who come sometimes with this problem and want to look at that and want to get rid of that because it's really bothering them in their life. So I'm going to share with you these several points. I'm not saying that this is all motivation behind it, but I found that these are maybe the main categories and possible roots of people-pleasing. So what are the possible motives or reasons behind this fear of conflict or need for people-pleasing and fearing men? First one, obviously, is fear. And usually it's a deep fear of rejection. It's the deep fear that if you are who you want to be, or if you disagree with others, or express your opinion, or simply express your need, you are going to be punished. Somehow punished by social isolation, rejection, maybe some kind of abuse. Maybe you don't even know, it may not be conscious, but usually this comes out when you were treated badly as a child. Either you suffered real obvious abuse, verbal, physical, sexual, or sometimes it may not be even some big, huge, obvious abuse. It may be just a load of small things. Whenever you try to be yourself or show your need, or maybe when you try to cry and they will tell you, oh, don't cry, and then you just realize that you cannot be weak in front of others and you cannot show weakness. Or when you tried to show a need as a child and the need was not fulfilled, but rather you were pushed away, or you were just mocked for whatever you needed, then you learn that my needs are not important, or my needs are not even good and I cannot express them. Only needs of others are right. Or you showed something you liked, or your personality, and maybe your parents or teachers or children didn't like your personality. And then you started to feel like, oh, I am bad, my personality is not good. If I express who I am, if I stand in the crowd, then I'm going to be rejected. There might be a load of reasons and experiences, but usually they come up to this fear of rejection category. And if that's so, you need to work on the fear of rejection. You need to get healed of those little traumas, or million or big ones, or million little ones, and start to see yourself in a different way. Then second one can be the belief that you don't have a value. That everybody else around you has a value. It's kind of connected what I've already said in the first part, but it's more about, for instance, if you had a narcissistic parent, such a parent would only value you if you behaved properly, if you behaved according to the lines that they prescribed to you, if you thought what they thought, said what they said, dressed as they wanted you to dress, if you just liked what they liked and performed highly in such a way that was making them feel proud and representative because their identity was connected to your performance. So you truly didn't matter as inside as a person, just your performance somehow mattered. And maybe then you learn that, okay, if I do whatever they want of me, if I perform as I am supposed to, if I am great, perfect, or proper, whatever it means in that scenario, then I'm going to be liked, I'm going to be accepted, maybe even praised. But I don't dare to show what's in me. It's my heart. What's in my heart? I don't dare to show my needs. I don't dare to show my weakness, or my true opinion, or my true preferences, or my true personality, because nobody wants that. It's not valuable. It was disregarded always, and therefore you learned to push it away as well. And that might be other way why you can be people-pleasing. Also, other things can develop from this, but now let's focus on this topic, and this is one potential outcome of such experience. And the third one can be a guilt or shame. Again, deeply seated guilt or shame, which can again come from sometimes obvious trauma, but I found out in some clients they had seemingly nice background. You wouldn't say anything was wrong about it outwardly, but it was like thousands and thousands, million restrictions and limitations on every step of the way. So they learned that whatever they do, it's not good. Somehow they are bad if they express, if they do anything spontaneously, anything out of their own desire. And it can be telling children all the time, sit this way, stand that way, don't laugh like that, don't eat like that, don't choose this toy, why do you want to wear that sweater, you have to do that, you have to eat, you have to dress like that, play silently, don't jump that much, don't do that. And it can be like million of little things, which if you experience 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, okay, you may end up fine. But if you every single day, there is just limitation, and there is just a line how you have to behave, and there is no space for spontaneity, for creativity, for individuality, for your own emotion, for your own need, for your preference. If there is no space or very, very little space for that, then you learn to live like that I just have to follow the lines. I just have to follow whatever the environment is telling me right now. If I'm at work, it has to be that. If I am in the group, my friends, it has to be what they want, what they are telling me. And then you develop this anxiety. You come into a room and you're like, okay, what's the setting? What's expected of me? What's required of me? I have to find out. And you're in this constant anxiety to perform in such a way that is required, or you think it is. And you have no freedom to bring yourself, your own flavor to the table. And again, if this is the case, you need to let yourself, allow yourself to heal from this. Allow yourself in the imagination, in your prayer with God. You need to let yourself in therapy, in experiences with others and yourself, to allow yourself experience the new way of life. To allow yourself to cross those boundaries that are, those lines that are built in your head, and to just spread the wings and start to fly. So, of course, these are deep topics, and the deeper you are wounded, the longer this process is, and you need other people for that. You might need counseling or therapy or coaching or a lot of combination of others, and you need to invite God into your heart and tell him that I'm sorry, I'm a people pleaser. I'm sorry, I'm a slave of man. I'm slave of what I think is proper, or what I think I have to. I'm slave of fear, of rejection, of shame and guilt, and help me. And you can put out your heart and maybe start making lists of what you couldn't do and what you would like to as a child, and let yourself give it to you, or let God give it to you, and start a journey of new freedom step by step. Find a support group, find people who can help you on the way. Don't be alone in it, because this is not easy. Forgive those who harmed you. Forgive yourself for harming yourself and for pushing yourself in situations of people pleasing. And try new. If this hasn't brought you happiness, try something else. You always have freedom to change. So I'd like to invite you and motivate you to get on the journey of being free and being only the pleaser of God, not of other people. And why? If you please him, it means you're pleasing the highest love, the purest kindness, the purest compassion and faithfulness, the absolute peace, love and righteousness. He is all the good things, and he knows all the context of everybody. And so if you try to please him, if you really know him, it means he's going to lead you to the healthiest ways of life, how you can love yourself and other people, how you can keep boundaries and yet serve other people. He will give you that wisdom. The voice of Spirit is going to give you that wisdom, when to say yes and when no, when you want to sacrifice and when you want to stand the ground, when you want to be silent and when you want to speak up. And this is a beautiful freedom if you live from Spirit, that he's going to lead you to more prosperous relationships, more healthier and abundant lifestyle, where you are fulfilled, where you experience freedom of who you are, but not freedom to be selfish, but freedom to love. So what you can do is firstly recognize that you are a people pleaser, admit it, and apologize to yourself for hurting yourself. Apologize to God. Apologize even to others if it's necessary. Identify the source of it. Try to talk to your own heart. What's the problem? What's behind it? Then when you identify it, maybe you need to find some support group. Maybe you need to find a counselor or therapist or coach or some mentor to help you with that. Also explore what was not possible for you in the past, and try to allow yourself, give yourself new wings, give yourself new freedom, speak truth and freedom to your own heart. Go into your imagination and allow yourself experience these past hurtful experiences in a new way, and release the pain, forgive other people and forgive yourself. And I'll pray and ask God for grace to liberate you step by step, and to give you the ability to spread your wings and become who you are designed to be, in absolute freedom to serve others with love. So this is my prayer for you, that you become more loving and truthful and a free person, and you know who you are and you can serve others in love. Have a nice day. If you like this video, subscribe, like, and comment on what you'd like to hear next time.